Hello traders, it's Sunday afternoon, July 9th. Let's start the video off with a review of our previous pick. Let's do some market analysis and then let's find a new pick. That's how all these videos work. I want to prove to you that this systematic decision-making approach works. And the only way to do that is to show you time in and time out that the previous pick has performed. The last pick that I had was CMC, Charlie, Mary, Charlie. Let's go into that daily chart, take a look at what the stock was doing. Beautiful long green candle closing on its high post earnings reaction. Half of this long green candle is preserved, and now the stock continues to grind higher above all the major moving averages, strong relative to the market, decent volume after earnings, and now you can see how the stock has been pushing through this high post earnings and getting through this high plus trend line. Still has plenty of room to get to this upper trend line. I think the stock still looks good, but the point was not come in and chase this stock. The point was the market's been choppy. Let's wait for a pullback. I like waiting for about an M30 pullback if we're using relative strength, or if we're evaluating LRSI, we can take a look at both scenarios. So the video came out Tuesday, which is the 4th of July. That was a exchange holiday. And so the first opportunity to get long would have been right about in here. You can see the stock has finished a little bit higher. So if you simply bought the open, you're probably making a little bit of money. That's not the approach right now. Market's super choppy. We have to wait for dips. We get our super strong stocks lined up. We wait for that dip. We set alerts, and then we wait for the alert. So using that methodology, you can see how we had relative weakness, which is good on an M30 basis right here, 30-minute time frame. And eventually we get a little bit of a poke right here on the opening bell, but that's not really going to be enough to get me excited to go into a stock. I'm going to need to see much more than one bullish candle. But here you can see how we have a nice little bottoming process, and the stock eventually pokes above the zero line, indicating relative strength. And at the same time, we had LRSI also getting above that 20 level. I do have a video on LRSI, so please check my channel if you're unfamiliar with this indicator. There is a smoothing component to the RSI, and that smoothing component's very, very sticky, so you will see the indicator go above 80. When it falls below 80, that would be a sell signal. When it drops below 20 and then rises back above 20, that's your buy signal. So you've got a buy signal on LRSI M30 basis, and you also have relative strength starting to come in. That was a beautiful entry point. Let's take a look at the market. Let's see what the market did on Friday. Let's take a look at what it's been doing on a daily basis. Couple of big takeaways right now. One is that we're in a little bit of a news vacuum. We had big jobs report last week. We had a 4-day holiday in there. Really kind of a yawner in terms of volume. Very, very slow to come back. But here's what I see in the market right now. We've got support and we've got resistance. We've got support at this level, resistance at this level, and we have a trading range that's been established. We've got lots of pending news in the next few weeks. Earnings season is going to be kicking off next Friday. It'll be largely the big international banks that are posting results. So earnings season really is not going to kick up for a couple of weeks. At the end of the month, we've got the next FOMC statement. Right now, people are expecting a 25 basis point rate hike. So we'll see. Fed has also been very hawkish. They've said that they still see room for a couple more rate hikes. Fed officials, the majority of them, are still looking for 2 more rate hikes this year. Now, the bond market had priced in a rate cut in Q4. As we start getting closer and closer to that September FOMC statement, these prices are going to have to come in line. You got the Fed saying we may hike rates once or twice more and the market expecting a rate cut sometime in Q4, somebody's going to be wrong. And right now we're starting to see interest rates creep higher, so that adjustment process might be taking place. If we just take a look at the price action that we're seeing unfold, we've got a double top right here. This is a bearish hammer on Friday. Pretty heavy selling pressure. So we're going to take a look at that. I believe that Monday could be a weak day in the market. Some pretty heavy duty selling pressure, and the volume was decent. So what do we have on deck this week? We've got PPI coming out, CPI coming out this week. The Fed has been super focused on inflation. So those numbers have actually been improving recently. So it is not the threat that we saw 6 months ago. But apart from that, the news is relatively light this week. And as I mentioned, we've got earnings season. So I see us kind of chopping around, and if we take a look at what the intraday price action has been on a 5-minute basis, we also see a lot of back and forth movement, two-sided price action. Well, what exactly does that mean? It means that through the course of the day, or even through the course of a few consecutive days, buyers are going to take control, run the market higher. Then it hits resistance. Okay, once that stalls out, now sellers have the ball. Here we go. Sell, 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 sell. Then it finds support. Then the market starts to reverse again. Now the buyers have control. What this tells me as a trader is that I need to be mentally prepared for two-sided price action. Both buyers and sellers are battling it out on light volume. So they're able to push the market one way, it hits resistance, then they move it the other way. This is not a great environment for swing traders because we're back and forth right now. So if you've got a balanced portfolio of longer term bullish and bearish swings, okay, you could navigate that. We do still have a nice upward trend line that's intact. We have all the major moving averages intact. We're just in kind of a dead spot right now. And so from my personal perspective, I still think that the bid to the market is decent. I like this longer term uptrend. As long as that's still intact, I'm going to be trading from the long side. So we have to wait for these dips. Then we can get more aggressive, like in this area with our longer term swing trades. If we're trading with a 2 or 3 day time horizon, or if we're day trading, then we have to wait for these small term dips like I showed you on CMC. So we're going to be looking for a stock that we really like on a longer term basis. We've got lots of check boxes marked, and then we're going to be waiting for that stock to pull back. We'll wait for the stock to find support. We'll wait for the market to find support. Then we're going to establish a longer term position on that stock. It could be just for a day trade if that's our time horizon that we're working with. It could be a swing trade that we hold for 2 or 3 days. So let's take a look and see what we can find. We're going to take a look at some of the different searches. I think I'm just going to focus today on a couple of searches. I've got some breakout searches that are nice because that at least gives us a breakout on a daily basis. So we'll take a look at some of these stocks. I may not have to go very far into the list. So let's see what we've got. Right now I have, it's going to get a little messy here, folks. So I'm going to take off some of the major moving averages so we can get a nice clean perspective of what's happening with the stock. ALB is at the top of the list, and this is on our search breakout times 2. That means that it has at least 2 current breakouts in a bullish direction. That's why it's a bullish search. And here you can see there are multiple trend lines coming into play. That is a very nice high plus trend line, almost a horizontal line. Here we've got a couple of high minus trend lines. Let's zoom out and see where they originate. These are very long-term trend lines. Look, this trend line goes all the way back to November 11th of 2022. So this is about a 7 or 8 month long trend line. I like it. You can see one touch right in there. That's a beauty. This trend line comes right in here, connects there. This is another breakout that we like. This is also another breakout that we like. Very similar to what I showed you on CMC, and that trade worked out well for us. So you've got relative strength on a daily basis here as well. So that also looks decent. So let's get our perspective and we'll add some of the major moving averages to see where they come into play. The volume on Friday was pretty decent. You can see how it's poking through this horizontal resistance, but you can also see that we're not stacking green candles here consecutively. Stock has a nice little run up, gets some red candles in here, pulls back a little bit. Now it decides that it wants to go higher. Is this stock going to just start stacking consecutive long green candles? I'm not counting on it. I'm going to plan on this exact same pattern continuing. Nice little rally off the low, pull back. Nice little rally off the low, pull back. Nice little rally off the low, pull back. So I'm waiting for that pullback so that this trend line provides support and it provides me with a good entry point. I am not chasing. The market is not breaking out. So let's take a look at the 30-minute time frame and see what the stock has done previously. And here we can see that we had a nice little pullback. We had relative weakness. We start getting relative strength in here. If I bought in here, ride the stock higher, starting to get some relative weakness in here, I take my gains. I'm not hanging out for this thing to go up 100%. I'm focused on just taking some very nice short-term gains. And in this particular case, the stock goes from about $220 to about $230. Hey, that's a really nice gain. So now you reload. All right, we're starting to see OneOSI come below zero. Stock's losing its relative strength. Okay, so now we're waiting. Now we get a nice cross in here, right around the 222 level. Now we get a nice breakout to $240. Really nice. That's an $18 gain that you could have had on that stock. Starts to hit some compression in here. That's how we need to be playing the market right now. You're not looking for home runs, but an $18 winner and a $10 winner on a stock, $200 stock, that's not too shabby. So now what's happening? Well, look, we're starting to lose that relative strength again. Again, we're using an M30 basis. How would LRSI have performed? Well, here we get the stock pulling back. You can see there we're above 20. We've been below 20. Now we're above 20. That is a beautiful entry point. Use both of them in conjunction with each other. I'll use a 30-minute OneOSI. I'll use a 30-minute LRSI. When they both agree, I can set an alert like that. Hey, why don't I do that right now? So LRSI, you can see, is still above 80, but it's starting to curl over. OneOSI is just above zero, so I need both of them. They are both true right now, so I need them to go false, and then true, and I'll get my alert. So I'm going to use this drop down here, and I will start with LRSI. I would like to use a 30-minute time frame, and I would like to have that value go from less than 20 to greater than 20. So it will be greater than 20. I'm going to add that indicator. And right now, it has to go less than 20 in order to go greater than 20. So I mark this little box right here, and I can save that alert, but I can also add another one if I'd like. So I'm going to add strength versus SPY, and I'm going to do that on a 30-minute basis also. So now I have that as well. And because that is currently true, I need it to go false and then true. So when both of these conditions are true, I'm going to get an alert, and I believe it's going to be a really good alert. When I do my next video on Wednesday, hopefully the stock has pulled back enough for both of these alerts to trigger, and then we'll be able to review how that particular entry point performed. A lot of FOMO out there. We got a lot of traders who just want to chase, 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 chase. Ooh, 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 here it goes, here it goes. This is my entry point here. No, your entry point is down here. Your entry point is down here. Here is where you're looking to take profits because you get in here and you're like, uh-oh, it's starting to weaken a little bit. Oh, no, 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 now I'm going to have another loser. And so you bail out of the position at a loser here, and then you're wondering, everything looks so good. And then it fell apart. And now I had a really nice looking stock and it's turned out to be a small loser. Or you sit there and you hang on to it. Now you're really underwater when you get one of these bigger pullbacks. Eventually the stock's going to come back, especially if you've picked well on a D1 basis, but that is a decent size move to try and weather in a going nowhere market. This would all change if we had a market that was in go-go mode, big volume, breakout, green candles, stacked, closing on their high, strong trend. Then we act much differently. Then we go in and we try and ride our long positions to make a lot more money, knowing that we have a stiff market tailwind. We do not have that. Buyers and sellers are battling it out. You need to be nimble. You want to be buying here, not here. You want to be taking profits up here. So buy here, take profits here. Buy here, take profits here. Now you could also say, hey, Pete, I'm super bearish in here. Now I don't know why you would be, but let's say that you are. You don't have a technical breakdown to really lean on right now. But intraday, you could find some nice shorting opportunities. If that's your mindset, then you need to be selling rips and taking your profits when the market finds support. You need to be selling rips and taking profits when the market finds support. For most novice traders, they start getting too cute and too confused because they've got baskets of long and short positions, or maybe they're overweighted on the short side. For the vast majority of you, I would suggest until you get your 75% win rate for at least a few months consecutively, if you're trading one share at a time, which you should be until you reach that milestone, then your best mentality right now is stay with the long side. Do not get cute on the short side until we break some major technical support levels. So your entire mindset is market's pulling back. Awesome. I do nothing. I am in wait and see mode, and I'm waiting for that support to be established. When I start to see that support established, then I'm interested in buying strong stocks that have been on my radar. And if I've done my homework while I'm waiting patiently, and the market's pulling back, I'm setting alerts, setting alerts, setting alerts, setting alerts. Market finds support, then all of a sudden, alert, 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 as everything starts to come back to life. Then those alerts are giving me a chance to reevaluate the market. Is the market on strong footing? Does the market look like it's going to head higher? Has the stock been able to preserve its support levels? Was that pullback in the stock relatively brief and relatively shallow? Is there decent volume? Does the stock still have relative strength? The alerts don't cost me a penny to put on. I have no emotional attachment to the stock. They're simply allowing me to reevaluate on those dips. That's what you should be doing right now. And we've got a lot of people in the chat room right now using this successfully. They're doing great with the strategy. So I believe based on the selling Friday, let's take a look at that 5-minute chart. Everything looked so good Friday, midday. So we've got this little sell-off early. a little bit of a bounce. We start to find some resistance. That actually was a gap that we had right in there. So we've got this gap down, and now we're trying to get through the high from the previous day. Didn't do it on the first attempt, but once we got through, we actually had some nice liftoff. And once we got through, the chances of us filling this gap in were pretty dang high because that has a tendency to happen. So this presented us with a really nice buying opportunity. But again, got to pay attention to what's happening on that D1 chart. As soon as that momentum wanes, look what sellers did on Friday. Yow, that was a big drop. And we took out the low of the day. I would not be surprised to see the market test the low from last Thursday. And that comes into play somewhere around the 437 level. So we'll see what happens overnight. On a 5-minute chart, you can really see that selling pressure accelerate. Initially, buyers are still engaged, and that's why you got these tiny little candles. But eventually, you start to see this big selling pressure, and this volume right here tells me that we need to respect this move. So watch for a little bit of a drop on Monday. Get your strong stocks lined up, set your alerts, and then when the market does pull back, you want to see those stocks retain their relative strength. You want to see that bid be pretty strong. ALB, what are we looking for since that's our pick of the day? Let's go in and take a look at what happened on Friday. So remember, this is what the market did. Sold off big time, made a new low for the day. What did ALB do? Well, it rallied up and it actually compressed and stayed fairly close to the high of the day. That's the type of price action I would want to see. So if you get further selling pressure on Monday, I'd like to see this stock pull back a little bit, but I'd like to see it preserve most of the gains from Friday. And so let's go into that 30-minute chart one more time and see where we might want to see this stock rest naturally. So market pulls back pretty hard Monday or Tuesday. Stock pulls back along with the market, but it preserves this high right in here. That's what I want to see. That's about $231. I'd like to see this general support level hold. And when it does, and the market starts to bounce, it should bounce right off of that level as well. So we're going to be using a combination of OneOSI on an M30 basis and LRSI on a 30-minute basis. When we get the alert, we're going to evaluate the market. If market support looks good, if the stock's able to preserve these general support levels in here, hasn't pulled back too much, then we're going to have a nice entry point for a long position, and we can expect the market to bounce. I hope all of this is really starting to make sense to you. It's market first, market first, market first. What in the heck is the market doing? Well, right now, light volume, not a lot of news, and you're seeing back and forth trading, which tells you that institutions aren't really sure which way the market is going to go right now because there are a lot of cross currents and a lot of conflicting news that's coming out. So they're in kind of wait and see mode. That's the top of your range. That's the bottom of your range. We could spend some more time in that range, probably for the next couple of weeks or so before the FOMC statement. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. Please leave your questions and comments. We'll see you probably Wednesday. I'll do another video and then we'll have a chance to review ALB. By the way, I'm sorry I didn't go through any more of these because I kind of like what I saw in that particular stock. So didn't have to go very far on the list. Very easy for us to find these stocks. ALB, beautiful. Volume across the board. Green dots across the board. SQM, probably another prospect. Nice volume. Green across the board. RIVN. That one's getting a little bit hot. That's getting a little parabolic. I'd be careful with that. That's how you do it. You just go right down the list and you look for these green and blue dots. These stock searches are already finding the best stocks. Now, visually, we have another aid to tell us how strong the stock is on a shorter term basis and if it has volume, and then it allows us to zero right in on these candidates. Again, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you Wednesday.
Thank you for watching this YouTube video. I'm Pete Stolzers, and I'm going to keep the trade ideas coming along with lots of education, so make sure to subscribe to the channel and please turn on your notifications so that you never miss another trade. If you like the content, please give it a thumbs up. I've loaded 2 other videos that I think you're really going to enjoy. Stay tuned. We'll see you soon.